She whispered those words with a voice that trembled like a candle in the wind, just, kill me fast. Nobody knew what she had been through. Nobody knew why a young woman with eyes full of fear would stand in the doorway of a motorcycle repair shop on a quiet American highway, surrounded by rumbling engines and leather jackets. But it was the moment when one of the men gently lifted the back of her shirt that everything changed. What they saw wasn't a wound, it wasn't violence, it was a word, a single burned-in message, a crude mark from someone who had tried to break her spirit. The word was worthless. Branded into her life not by fire, but by years of cruelty, neglect, and emotional pain, not a label that had followed her like a shadow she couldn't outrun. And in that moment, the toughest men in the building didn't see a stranger, they saw a human being who had been told the worst lie a person can hear. Before we begin this emotional story of kindness and unexpected rescue, don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment to support the channel. You're watching Storysphere, where real feeling stories remind us of the power we all have to change a life. The main story begins on a dusty afternoon outside a small town in Arizona. Cars rushed by, but nobody noticed the young woman walking along the road, her shoulders slumped, her clothes worn, her hope fading. Her name was Emma, 24 years old, soft-spoken, and carrying a sadness deeper than anyone around her knew. She had run away from a life where she was constantly told she wasn't good enough, smart enough, or strong enough. She had been branded with harsh words, the kind that sink into the heart and stay there. Every step she took felt heavier than the last. When she wandered into the motorcycle shop, she wasn't seeking trouble, she was seeking an ending. The men inside, known in town as the Hells Angels, but here just a group of rough-looking bikers with big hearts, were fixing engines and talking loudly. Nobody expected a frightened woman to appear in their doorway. At first, they froze, confused by her trembling voice. I can't take it anymore, she said. Just, make it stop. One of the older bikers, a man named Rick, stepped forward. He wasn't what people imagined. He had silver hair, gentle eyes, and the calm voice of someone who had lived enough life to understand pain. Darlin', we don't hurt people, he said softly. Tell us what's going on. Emma turned away, embarrassed by her tears. She didn't know how to explain the years of emotional scars, the people who told her she would never be anything, never matter, never deserve love. Rick noticed the back of her shirt was ripped. May I? He asked. When he lifted it, the room fell silent. There, faded but still visible, was the mark someone had once pressed onto her with cruel intention, not physically, but through years of constant insults and humiliation. Worthless, the bikers exchanged looks, not of anger, not of judgment, but of heartbreak. Rick lowered her shirt gently, as though protecting something fragile. Whoever put that word on you lied, he said, his voice was steady. Certain, you hear me? They lied. Emma's knees weakened. Nobody had ever said it like that, nobody had ever treated her pain as real. One of the bikers brought her water. Another gave her his jacket. Someone else quietly moved a chair so she could sit. Their kindness wasn't loud or dramatic, it was simple, human, and sincere. Over the next hour, Emma told them everything, not the dangerous details, just the emotional truth, the loneliness, the feeling of being unwanted, the years of believing she didn't deserve to exist. Rick listened without interrupting, nodding slowly. When she finished, he leaned forward. You came in here thinking you had nothing left, he said. But what I see is someone who survived every reason to give up. That makes you stronger than you know. Another biker spoke up. We've all had people put labels on us, he said. But we get to decide which ones stay. They didn't try to fix her life in one afternoon, they didn't give her false promises, they gave her something else, something she hadn't felt in years, belonging, dignity. A safe space to breathe. One of them took a marker and held it gently against her hand. Let's write a new word, he said with a smile. Emma shook her head at first, tears returning, but slowly, she nodded. He wrote a single word on her palm, hope. It wasn't magic. It didn't erase the past, but it was enough to remind her she still had a future. She left the shop with a warm jacket, a ride to town, and something even more powerful, a belief that there were still good people in the world. And as she walked away, Rick said quietly to the group, never underestimate what kindness can undo. In the end, Emma didn't ask anyone to save her, all she needed was someone to see her as human again, someone to remind her she was worth far more than the cruel words etched into her memories. Kindness didn't change her life in a single day, but it changed the direction of it, and sometimes, that's enough to save a soul. If you're watching this, let Emma's story be your reminder, your gentle words, your compassion, your willingness to listen. They may be the difference between someone giving up and someone holding on. Choose kindness every time.